Welcome to Horror Year, where every story is a journey into the unknown. If you're brave enough to face your darkest fears and uncover the most chilling tales, you've come to the right place. So, dim the lights, turn up the volume, and subscribe to Horror Year. Your journey into terror begins now. Laura escaped the nightmare of the forest, but the haunting experience stayed with her. No trace of the gas station or the strange man was ever found. She remains fearful of the unknown, always avoiding the back roads, forever reminded that some paths lead to darkness that blurs the line between reality and nightmare. The evening was settling in with a bone-chilling cold as Laura Davidson, a 28-year-old nurse, finished her grueling shift at the hospital. Exhausted and eager to escape the chaos of her long day, Laura decided to take a less traveled route home. As she spotted a sign for a shortcut through rural backroads, she felt a sense of relief. Little did she know, this seemingly innocuous choice would lead her down a path fraught with dread and darkness. The comforting glow of city lights soon faded, leaving her in a world where shadows concealed more than just the fall foliage. It had been years since Laura had traveled these rural roads. Her phone's GPS guided her with assurance, telling her that the shortcut was, in fact, faster. The road was dark and ominous, and the landscape was desolate as the leaves had fallen from the trees. Thick, dark woods bordered the curving route, and the air was thick with a stifling hush. It had been years since Laura had traveled these rural roads. Her phone's GPS guided her with assurance, telling her that the shortcut was, in fact, faster. The road was dark and ominous, and the landscape was desolate as the leaves had fallen from the trees. Thick, dark woods bordered the curving route, and the air was thick with a stifling hush. There were no signs or lighting to help her navigate as the route twisted and contracted. Through the shadows, Laura's headlights illuminated old, run-down houses tucked away amid the trees. Every one of them appeared deserted, with dark, vacant windows. The trees appeared to lean inward as the temperature dropped, their skeletal branches extending like twisted fingers. As Laura's automobile made its way slowly down the rough road, her discomfort increased with every mile. She was making a particularly abrupt turn when she noticed someone standing in the center of the road with her headlights on. Heart-pounding, Laura jammed on the brakes. It was a man looking unkempt and strange in the middle of the forest. He had a hat pulled low over his face and a ragged coat on. When she got closer, he just stood there, motionless. With caution, Laura rolled down her window. "Are you okay?" she exclaimed, a little quiver in her voice. The man raised his head, displaying a face that was marked by a dark mixture of desperation and something else. His voice was barely audible over the rumble of the engine as he murmured something incoherently. Although Laura was unable to understand him, the tone of his voice was unnerving. Laura heard a loud crash and then the sound of rustling leaves coming from the woods. With growing concern, she cast a quick look about. "Are you alone here?" she inquired, but all the man did was look at her with hollow, unseeing eyes. Laura put her car in gear and drove off, deciding it would be better to go. She saw the man step in the direction of her car as she was passing him, but she dared not stop. Through her headlights, the gloomy sight in the woods was exposed, with the shimmer of something metallic and shadows of movement. Laura's heartbeat quickened as she accelerated, determined to get away from the disturbing situation. Her sense of direction grew progressively warped as the road seemed to go on forever. She felt lost and unsure of her direction, as the thick forest surrounding her seemed to continue on forever. Laura saw a dim light in the distance after what seemed like an eternity. Hoping it was a house or some indication of civilization, she drove toward it. She discovered as she got closer that it was an old, deserted petrol station. With a wildly flickering neon sign, Laura parked and got out in the hopes of finding a better route or assistance of some kind. The gas station was run down, with rusty and empty pumps. The little building's ceiling held a lone bulb that provided the light. The station looked untouched and dusty inside, yet there were indications of recent activity. There were footprints in the dust heading to a rear door. As she got closer, Laura's thoughts was racing with fear, and her heart was pounding. With caution, she opened the door to reveal a modest office furnished with a desk and a phone. In addition to the dead phone, There were other unsettling indicators, such old newspapers with articles about people going missing and pictures nailed to a corkboard. The images showed a variety of people with red X's placed on their faces. Laura experienced a panic attack. As she turned to walk away, she heard a slight shuffling sound behind her. With a more frightening attitude than before, she swung around and spotted the man from the road standing in the doorway. When Laura's instincts took over, she ran back to her car and sprang out of the station. The man was following her, and she could hear his footsteps getting louder. After struggling with her keys for a while, she was able to start the engine. She noticed the man standing in the distance, his figure engulfed by the darkness as she raced off and peered in the rearview mirror. Laura's mind was racing with both relief and anxiety as she drove into the night. At last, she broke out of the forest and was back on a path she knew well. She arrived home safely, scared and exhausted. Laura reported the event to the local police the following day, but upon investigation, neither the gas station nor the man she had encountered were found. No map showed where she'd gone, and the station appeared to have disappeared completely. Even now, Laura stays off back roads and shortcuts because she's afraid of what might be hiding in the shadows. She was left with a profound fear of the unknown, as well as a chilling reminder that taking the wrong way can occasionally lead to terrifying locations where the line separating reality from a nightmare can become blurry.